My meager understanding of the world can be summed up with one simple word: stories. Stories shape our lives and understanding of the world in which we live. They vary from person to person, but being able to share a story is one of the most human things that we could possibly do. Those who work to master this art of storytelling are arguably some of the most powerful people in the world. In taking the anthropology-based Caribbean diaspora course in my final semester at Notre Dame, I began to see my culture and my family in a different way. I began to see my family and my culture, to see myself. Suddenly, my experiences and family were legitimized in such a profound way. I now had a new lexicon to explain the subtle nuances in the way that my family interacted. My whole world suddenly had a space where its existence was not an anomaly. I was not just a silent observer, but a participant, a figure that could drive progress. It was this experience that affirmed my desire to become a master in the art of storytelling. In Robert Greene's Mastery, the first strategy to finding your life's task is to return to your origins. This is a strategy that I have to constantly remind myself is applicable to me. I often forget that I have been writing since I learned to write. I filled journals with random thoughts, story ideas, poems from as young as 5 years old. The point that Greene made that resonates with me the most is that the importance of recognizing these proverbial inclinations is that they are clear indications of an attraction that is not infected by desires of other people. As you become more sophisticated, you often lose touch with these signs from your primal core. Greene's second strategy is occupy the perfect niche, where he explains the game you play is different, to instead find a niche in the ecology you can dominate. This resonates with me so resoundingly. As an undergrad, I was often discouraged because I could see where my varied interests converged, while in relation to others, I did feel a bit all over the place. My visual anthropology course inspired me to do anthropological research without limiting myself to just publishing in peer-reviewed journals, but to share my findings with a wider audience. I was able to almost immediately put this into practice in an internship I did with Bowman Creek Educational Ecosystem, where as an embedded ethnographer, I was able to work on an oral history and video project. I'm very excited to explore more and further craft my own niche in this ecology. Strategy 3 is to avoid the false path. This is something I have battled with constantly over the last few years. Luckily, my deep intrinsic motivation does not allow for me to be able to stick with any of these distractions or false paths for too long. Now that I am actively pursuing my true path, I am better at recognizing false paths and avoiding them altogether. The fourth strategy is to let go of the past. I appreciate the reminder from Greene that you don't want to abandon the skills and experience you have gained, but to find a new way to apply them. I have various diverse experiences, and I hope to keep something from each of them. The lessons I have learned are invaluable. The fifth and final strategy outlined by Greene also happens to be my turning point. Find your way back. I've had quite a few false starts, job hopping, various school applications, all while battling personal family traumas and my own mental health. Every time I thought I was figuring it out, some life event or other happened and set me right back to start all over again. My time during this pandemic has been illuminating. I worked at Trader Joe's and was being harassed by fellow coworkers, most of the management. My experience was terrible for my mental health, and in the moment I had no idea of the abusive and toxic environment I was regularly immersing myself in. About a year ago, I left Trader Joe's, and soon after moved out of the apartment with roommates who were former coworkers, and once again I started over. I had no one to listen to but myself, and I was determined to finally start listening to myself again. It has only taken me a year to get to this point where I am now finally pursuing my master's in creative writing at Full Sail University. I'm working as a special programs coordinator at an environmental nonprofit, finally adopted two adorable cats, and am actively crafting my world and working on never again letting myself lose that power. It is now important for me to not only take charge of creating the world I want to live in, but also how I want to be present in and share myself with this world. I have constructed 2 SMART goals with this in mind. 1, I will update my LinkedIn profile and make connections or build upon existing connections with 5 organizations or people within my desired industry. And 2, I will create a website where I share my portfolio as a writer/researcher and determine a regular posting schedule. Accomplishing these goals will help me better craft my online presence and work on defining myself and my career goals and how I present this to others and overall myself to the world. I am incredibly excited to get started on my journey to mastery.